So I have created 3 research questions to kind of help better understand and um, help do the needs assessment for the lack of parental involvement in school-based mental health services for children. So the first question I have is, what effect does parental involvement have on school-based mental health services? Meaning, do the children have better outcomes? Um, and that is a comparative type of research question because we're comparing the children who receive school-based mental health services with no parental involvement versus receiving the same services with parental involvement. How we would collect this data is look at maybe some sort of pre-service questionnaire to the children and the families, and then track, to what extent they participated in throughout the services, and then upon discharge of the mental health services to kind of check in and see how much improvement there was, and comparing on those 2 things. The second research question I have is, what demographic are the families of children that require school-based mental health services? So I was interested in learning, that's comparative for the same reason as the first one, comparing if there's more parental involvement in certain types of family, whether that be socioeconomic status, culture, race, 2-parent families versus a 1-parent family, things like that. And one of the reasons that I was interested in this is, obviously, if you have a single-parent household, the parental unit is going to be more overwhelmed caring for the children. Just typically they have less support, so they might be less involved in their children's services, as well as maybe not having all of their needs met outside of, the school setting. So just looking at that, and to evaluate if perhaps certain cultures, parents are less involved in their child's services, because that's an important part of evaluating the program and making sure that culturally sensitive practices are implemented to make sure that all children have access to the same kinds of services. So how I would go about that is just tracking, doing maybe a 5-question questionnaire in the beginning and asking some basic intake questions, such as, what is your race, who is the household composition, what is that made up of, and certain things like that, to just get a little bit better of an understanding. The last question I have is, are the parents satisfied with the type of mental health services provided by the school? And so I said that this was a felt or expressed types of research questions, because it could be felt by either the children if they're not interested and it's not a child-friendly program, or if the school professionals are identifying certain needs and things like that. Alternatively, the parents might not want to participate in the programs if they aren't buying into it, if they don't think the program is good for their child or good for their family, things like that. So that was like a little bit of both. And how you could go about learning more information on that is just by asking for parental surveys, and talking with parents, and coming up with some sort of questions, again, as part of the intake, about how they feel the service might be beneficial to their child. Also, if they don't think that it will be beneficial, then I'm sure they would be less likely to see the value in participating as well. So these were my 3 needs assessment research questions, and a little bit about how I would go about finding the information for those.